Welcome to the SwimSwam Podcast. I'm today's host, Coleman Hodges. Joining us today, 2020 Olympic silver medalist, 10K open water U.S. national champion, 7-time NCAA All-American, 6-time Big 12 champion, and now screenwriter and soon-to-be director. We're talking to Erica Sullivan. What's up?
Whoa. I'm doing good. Not much. I mean, actually, everything is up right now. It's been crazy, but it's been good.
This episode of the SwimSwam Podcast is sponsored by Commit Swimming, SwimSwam's exclusive team management software partner. Since 2015, Commit has been providing coaches with swimming's leading workout management software. And now, Commit has team management software too. Commit wants to help you make the switch from Team Unify to a simpler, more powerful solution. Their onboarding and customer service team will walk you through every step of the way. Check them out at commitswimming.com to book your demo today. That's COMMIT swimming.com. Yeah, I'm so glad to hear that. I'm so excited to talk to you about swimming and non-swimming endeavors. Let's just start off with swimming because SEC's just happened. You leave Texas, they leave the Big 12, and first year right off the bat, the women bring home a conference title. Didn't even skip a beat.
Can I say something I'm upset about?
Please.
You know how in all previous years, SEC champions jump in the pool?
Yeah.
Why didn't we jump in the pool?
You didn't jump in the pool?
Well, in Big 12s, we never did because it was like, oh, we have to fly back home. In Big 12, we don't do that here. I thought now that Texas won SECs, they would jump in the pool, but I haven't seen any photos of. I don't think they jumped in the pool, did they?
I don't know. I was at ACCs, and I will say, UVA women jumped in the pool. Cal men, it's their first year, didn't jump in the pool. I don't know what that's about.
I don't know why Texas.
It is upsetting though.
Why didn't they jump in the pool?
You won. Jump in the pool.
Jump in the pool.
Get
we won SECs.
In the pool.
Jump in the pool. I wanted to see Carol jump in.
Seriously.
Or Bob? Get Bob in the water.
Come on. Which, I mean, I know he did a pool with ASU. I assume they did it at Pac-12s. Maybe it's like, maybe they told all first-year teams, listen, you can't just come into this conference and jump in the pool year one.
Yeah,
you have to earn your dues.
It has to be earned. But I thought for sure, I was like looking, I was on FaceTime with my girlfriend, and I was like, oh, like SECs, they jump. And then I was like, why haven't I seen anything of jumping? I haven't seen any jumping footage here.
It's wild. Yeah.
It's upsetting.
That is upsetting. I'm not in favor of that, but I don't know. Maybe at NCAA's, someone will jump in the pool. It'll probably be the UVA women again, but we'll see. Were there any swims from SECs that really excited you or really got you going? I mean, Texas had a lot of them.
Yeah. I loved our relays. Our relays looked really good. Sticky looks so sharp right now.
SEC swimmer of the meet on the women's side, swept her events.
Yeah.
That's good.
Jillian's looking great in distance.
Dude.
Yeah.
How does it feel to like leave and have a school record and be like, man, this is great, and then like just have it be broken like right after you leave?
I mean, at the end of the day, it's like it's progressing our program forward in so many ways, and it's so good for the program. And Erica's doing like unreal things there with the distance girls, which is awesome. It's a little bittersweet, like, don't get me wrong. I did ask Jillian if I could get my record plaque back, like my name plaque, because I want to put it up here somewhere. But maybe I'll pester her about it when I go back home to Austin for graduation.
That's fair.
Yeah. So I'll get it back, but like it's moving the program forward.
Yeah.
You know, who knows? I feel like back in the day there used to be hubs for certain schools, and you could still say that to some extent. Like people used to go to IU for breaststroke.
Yeah.
You know, there used to be schools for distance, do that. And I don't know, I'd like to think that Texas, as a little distance girl, I'd love to see Texas become a little distance hub.
I mean, I feel like, yeah, between Bob and Eric, like you said, the 200 or 500 and up is looking very strong. I mean, we saw Rex Maurer and Carson Foster break American records in the 500. Jillian Cox has just been, lighting it up this season. So it'd be cool to see Texas get some distance, keep growing that distance juice for sure.
Yeah. It'd be fun to see. But no, I'm excited to see what the girls do at NC's. I'm always excited for them. There have been very few moments in swimming where I'm like, oh man, like I miss it. Because like I'm like respectfully waking up at 5 a.m. and then going to classes all day is just it's a hard ask.
It's a hard ask.
But after seeing SECs, I had a little bittersweet like tinge in me a little bit where I was like, oh man, I do miss that pool deck.
Yeah, especially a meet like SECs, which like to me, that is the most energized of conference championships that I've personally been to, or like, I mean, you kind of see it in the results, right? Like people go really fast at that meet. And I think it's because everyone is just so hype.
It's like so amped.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, dare I say, like, there's not that much of an energy step from SECs to NCs.
Yeah.
And it's just because, the roster is so small. And you're fighting for roster spots to get into SECs as it is. So your SEC team ends up being your NC2A team.
Right. And it's not combined. So you're one gender. So there's less parents, or those less parents for your team. So yeah, it's definitely a whole different vibe.
Yeah. Definitely.
I couldn't believe personally that after like one day of full competition, maybe 2 days, the Texas women were ahead by 300 points.
Wasn't it crazy? Like that
was after like the first full day of competition. Yeah.
Yeah.
They were just so far ahead, and it was like, oh, I thought you guys were going to win. I didn't think you were just going to like come in and put your boot on everyone's neck.
Just hammer. Yeah. I like at the end of the day, I keep in touch with the girls, but I feel like what's the best part about my dynamic with them is like I don't have to talk to them about the times that they're doing in practice every day. So like I know how they're doing. I know when they're a little beat up from the workouts. I know when they're starting to get a little more recovered, but I don't know the times they're throwing down every day. So hearing like just seeing that was crazy, where I was like, damn, I knew you guys were tired throughout the season, but like I didn't realize you guys were that suppressed in your peak training cycle.
I love that phrasing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that like I wanted to text someone on the team to just be like, is this real? Like, what's happening? Like,
what are you guys doing?
How did you already win the meet? But then I didn't want to like jinx anything, or be like whatever. But that to me really stood out and was wild. But yeah, Texas women had a great SECs, walked away with a conference championship. Okay, let's turn this conversation back to you, Erica. You are here to tell us about your new screenplay. It's called Wet Season. It's going to be a short film written and directed by you. Tell us a little bit about this. What inspired this? And what was the process like just for writing the script? And I know you're in pre-production now. How has that gone for you?
Yeah, I think I feel like I've done a pretty good job at making it clear from really, really early on that film was something that I wanted to do and flesh out as a career option. When I was originally supposed to go to USC, that was to go to film school. came to UT, studied film, but obviously when you're swimming, it kind of goes on the back burner. So the minute I retired, and honestly, the minute I got home from trials, first of all, it took a few weeks to go off the grid completely. During the games, I was on a camping trip up the East Coast, going to a bunch of national parks where no one could hear from me, which was great.
Nice.
And just figuring out what I wanted to do in my last semester in Texas, because I knew I was going to move to LA at the end of the year. And I came back and I knew I wanted to spend a lot of time on sets, make a lot more film friends and build those bridges, and honestly start to plant the seed to make something for myself. And so I started, and I knew I wanted to make it about swimming just because it seemed like a really good gateway drug into leaving this world that was so all-consuming for so long and bringing it into this new world that I was spending all of my time in. And I don't know, I met some amazing DPs, and well, I was notoriously known for having one friend in my RTF program. Because I had my teammates.
Hold on a sec. For those of listeners who aren't familiar, what is a DP?
Director of photography.
And what is RTF?
Radio, television, film.
So that's your major.
Yeah, my major. A lot of lingo. But a DP is the one who holds the camera and knows what lenses to put out, knows what aperture. So when everyone says, "Oh, the cinematography was amazing in that movie," it's the DP.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just to give some film jargon here. But yeah, so I notoriously had one friend in RTF. Her name is Caroline Plum. Love her. She is a gaffer, which is the person who makes the lights look pretty.
Mm-hmm.
So they set up, the 300s. So whenever, let's think of an example, when Euphoria, when the lights are blue, it's the gaffer who does that sort of thing. And so the gaffer and the DP usually work hand in hand. And so I would follow Caroline and I'd be a grip. So a grip is you're under the gaffer. They'll tell you to, grab certain equipment and set it up for them to make lights look pretty. And I was like, okay, I've lifted in college. I can hold a combo stand. I can I can lift this light up. I can put it up. And so Caroline would tell me to put up certain equipment. Mm-hmm. And through that, I met a lot of people on film sets. And yeah, during that time, I would visit Carol's office here and there, and I'd be like, hey, I have an idea for this. Do you think I should do this? Do you think I should do this? Because I feel like projects, just because you have a good idea, you need to be in a proper phase of your life to either execute it, whether it be like experience, emotionally remove from it, have the money for it. And so I gave Carol 3 different ideas, I think, and I really liked Wet Season, and Carol was like, oh, that's one you need to flesh out for sure. Mm-hmm. And that's how Wet Season came to be.
So the script itself is 12 pages?
12, yeah. I think it ends up being around 10 minutes of content.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, about a 10-minute short film. How long was the writing process, or what was fleshing that out like for you?
Yeah, so the whole feature is probably going to be around 90 minutes. It's not written yet, but we have the beats and everything really hit.
Yeah.
Man, I started having ideas for Wet Season back in October, and the script still isn't finalized. Like it's done. It's a done script, but I'm still in rewrite phase before I build. And it's funny, Becca, in like the next 3 days, I have a phone call with Becca Mann to really sit down and make sure I hit the beats that I want to hit in this short film. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, all in all, we're coming up into March, so it's been 5 months to write 12 pages of script.
This gives you an idea of how involved this creative process is for, a product that to a consumer is like, oh, maybe this isn't that long, or this isn't, I guess that long, but there's so much that goes into it, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I read the script. I loved it. Tell me about the beats that you wanted to hit with this script and just a little synopsis of what this is about and what you were going for in terms of how you wanted to portray a swim team.
Yeah. So the log line of Wet Season is these group of college girls at the end of their Hell Week decide to throw a party to celebrate their week of training, and the turmoils that arise during the week come out at this party. Mm-hmm. So in my feature-length film, I would delve into so many aspects of not turmoil, but disagreements and hardships you see in a college swim team, whether it be like injuries, wanting to transfer, navigating when is it time to end your career and focus on, life goals, drama, culture building, the balance of wanting to party and wanting to train and wanting to win, common problems that everybody has in every single high level athletic program across the US. Like, hell, we had those conversations when it was like, hey man, I really want to go to this party and we're not in dry season yet. And it was like, no, we still have a dual meet coming up. That's a horrible idea, Mm-hmm. And hey, I'm not really getting along with so-and-so right now. And having those conversations of like, I'm going to work it out with this person personally, or let's get the team involved and have it be, rock our culture a little bit. Like, that's just problems that you face in a collegiate program, combined and separate. And I was in a separate program, which is kind of why my experience is writing about an all-women's team. But I wanted to bring the love, but also the love in a way of, you see each other every day, all the time. There's going to be fights. You're going to disagree. And there's times where you hate each other. And I really wanted to hit those beats. Those are the main ones I wanted to hit. And condensing a 90-minute film into a 10-minute short is so challenging because you don't have time to flesh out characters. You don't have time to, explain the sport of swimming to someone who's not in swimming. So I feel like the beats I wanted to hit were, it's a group of girls who love each other more than anything in the world, but sometimes they disagree and they have to pick between the wellness of the team or the wellness of them as individuals is the biggest beat that I wanted to hit.
Yeah. And I mean, I loved that in this shortened version of the script, again, it's 12 pages. There's so many archetypes of swimmers that if you swam on a swim team, and you just through dialogue, you portray them to me very accurately. And I love that the first scene is three swimmers having a separated conversation at the wall while through intervals, which is an experience that every swimmer has had.
Yeah. That was definitely something I wanted to include because so many people who aren't in swimming are like, how do you talk during practice? It's like, oh, we talk. You just get one line in each time. You swim your 100 and then you have to, you share your piece, you think on it for 100 and then you share more. And it's comical. It's, for us, it's so normal, but it's funny. And one of the things I really wanted to add in was that one character who's not involved in the conversation is just off the side being like, guys, I'm going to be sick. Guys, I'm gonna puke. I'm gonna throw up. And it's some of those things where now not swimming on a club team or a college team every single day, thinking back on those conversations, those are the moments I remember the hard sets. Don't let that be known. I remember the hard sets, but I also remember saying the dumbest thing on the walls and having the funniest conversations on the walls.
Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous, right? I'm someone who goes and films and documents these practices, and without fail, every time I'm anywhere at a practice, you see these conversations happening, and some of the stuff these kids are talking about, it's like, this is so dumb.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, this is so ridiculous. But it's like a part of the culture.
It's like, you're doing no breathers. Why are you wasting air talking about like the dumbest, most irrelevant TV show that you're watching right now? Like, wait, talk about it after. But no, it's what gets you through it. And it's what makes like a team a team. And so I really wanted to encapsulate that.
Yeah. And again, I thought you captured the ethos of being a swimmer very well in just a few pages. Wonderful. And so, yeah, I really enjoyed reading it. So what is next? What do you envision for the actual production of this short film? Especially given that you're still managing school as well.
Yeah. So I have a producer in California. She graduated from UT last year. And so we are gonna film a week after graduation. That's been finalized, which is really exciting and really nerve-wracking. Mm-hmm. And so we are gonna do it across a 3-day shoot. We've officially locked that down. I'm gonna confirm cast and announce cast in April, but thank God to my wonderful Texas team and my Texas parents, because Ava Longi's mom knew a casting director in Austin who was able to get on a phone call with me and potentially put the name in the hat for some actors who used to be competitive swimmers.
And this is, I know this is something we had talked about before, but it's swimming on camera, not always easy. And we've seen swimming portrayed in cinema a lot of times. There's a movie called Swim Fan that always comes to mind. It's a really bad movie, but if you're a swimmer and you haven't seen it, maybe worth a watch. And also there's an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer that comes to mind as well. But tell me how you took into account portraying swimming on film.
Yeah. So my examples of swimming in film is Sex Education, that British TV show.
Yep.
With Jackson swimming. Mm-hmm. Heinous.
It's not good.
Not good. And Emily and Pretty Little Liars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where Missy Franklin had her little cameo, and it was like, sick, Missy's here. They know swimming. But God forbid you saw Emily in a cap. It was like, she just doesn't belong.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I knew that at the end of the day, I feel like once you swim and once you know how to swim and you have the stroke technique down, it looks good. It looks natural. So who knows if they haven't swam in 4 years, as long as that technique is still there, I know people who can train it back. Does that make sense? I know plenty of people who can take you to a pool for 30 minutes a week and we can get you training and get back into shape to where it looks good. Mm-hmm. And we could cheat the camera. We could put the camera flags in because it's a conversation intermittently happening on the wall to where you only have to swim 5 yards and you have to push off cool. By right. Cool, I mean normal, realistically. Yeah. And for us, that sounds normal, but for people who don't know how to do it, it looks bad. It looks really bad. It looks really bad. And so I knew that if I was going to hire just actors, it would take a lot of pre-production training to get them to a place. Mm-hmm. And even the short film, or not the short film, the film of Yursa from the refugee Olympic team. What was that?
Oh yeah. This, I think it's just called The Swimmers.
The Swimmers.
Yeah, but Yusra.
She was fully a body double swimming for the actress.
Yeah.
So, and obviously, if it's a biopic, you're allowed to use those things, but it's like, respectfully, I can't put my fifth years who are done with NCs by this point in a swim cap and have them play my actors. Like, it's just not going to work that way. And so, yeah, it's a lot of playing chess of like what's more important to me and what's less important to me to be able to make that swimming portion look accurate. And also in the party scene, I want these girls to look like athletes.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I love the Hollywood look. I love the Hollywood girl, but respectfully, there are some girls there who look like they can't, you know, bench press an empty bar even if they tried. And so, yeah, the look I want to achieve is like that athletic build and an athlete looking kind of person, because I feel like our bodies are, you know, like the female body of a female athlete is like so much to be like respected and praised and celebrated. And that's the kind of light I want my film to focus on and bring an admiration to that.
Absolutely. I love all these things. Did you see the Love Lies Bleeding you brought up? It's with Kristen Stewart. I like the body shots in that movie are just like, yes. Like, because it was women who were like super athletic. Obviously they were bodybuilding in that movie, but it was just like, this is cinema. Like, this is what we want to see. This is great.
It's awesome. It's so cool. And I think we so much in our film and cinema see that like actor stereotype of like the very traditionally skinny girl. And I love my teammates because they are so amazing and so good looking and they're jacked. And I think that's so much to be said about the women in sports. Like, they're so talented, but they're strong. Like, they're strong too. They're pretty and strong. And yeah, I think I want to kind of twist, you know, the conventional norms of beauty in that sense and really focus on that as well.
I'm here for it. Yeah.
You know,
so
it's crazy because making a film, I knew you have to think about all aspects being a director. I never thought I'd have to consider all aspects being a director. And I'm like thinking about things that like are so subconscious in my brain. Yeah. So it's I feel like I've really dissected swimming on a different level in the process of making this film.
Have there been other things that have come up for you that have surprised you, or that you just, you didn't expect to be a factor in making this a realistic portrayal of swimming?
Yeah. So for the audience who hasn't read the script, most of the script takes place at a party. Mm-hmm. And I really, when I was talking to my producer, I was like, oh, I want a party scene. But I very quickly realized that a college athlete party and a regular college student party are two very different parties. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
In a way of, I think it's the fact that college students party a lot more regularly. Mm-hmm. And so it's very much more like run of the mill, you know, let's go crazy. Whereas athletes always have that part of their brain, which is, oh, I still need to wake up 2 days from now and I have morning practice. Mm-hmm. And it's, oh yeah, let's drink, which is the process of a party. But there's this whole other side of it of, I'm still recovering from this morning practice I had.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, oh, I want to jump off a table. I want to dance. I want to do crazy things. Oh, I can't hurt myself. I have a season to prepare for.
Yeah.
We are subconsciously way more careful about the way we go in our day-to-day lives that normal college students just don't have a second thought to. Mm-hmm. And it's even little things. The biggest thing I noticed is like, oh, the way our image is perceived. Where college kids, it's very much in their stereotype that they party. Whereas I feel like when college athletes, especially swimmers, and I'll speak to swimmers because that's the side I'm on, the side of, oh, we party on weekends every once in a while is way more repressed and hidden and like away from the public eye. Because we have an image to uphold about like, oh, we're D1 athletes. Mm-hmm. And so that dissection is, so then this party, the stereotypical college party where things are outside and inside and everybody's running in and out, turns way more into like a dive bar style of a party where it looks quiet from the outside, but it's crazy on the inside. And so that lens and looking at it that way has been so interesting and like navigating that.
Yeah. Wow. I certainly wouldn't have thought of that, and just the dichotomy of a college party.
Like college kids party, but then it's like you have to dig deeper and be like, okay, well, how would these girls who party at the end of their dry season to celebrate the beginning of wet season, like how would they party? It's really interesting. It's a lot of hyper analyzing every little bit of dialogue that I write and try to make it be like, oh, well, is this something that a year ago when I was on the team, is this a conversation I would have with my teammates? Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it is? Do you feel like you've had these conversations before?
It's crazy, right? Because some of it you do want to have it pull from a place of fiction and have like my mind conjure it up. And I feel like I do have a storyline, like a love interest storyline where I can really conjure up a fun alternate reality. But yeah, you have those moments where you have a kid on a team that really values the social aspect of the team and having a community to do fun things with. And I'll take responsibility. I was kind of a hard ass, and I was a little more dialed in and focused on the end goal, especially last season where we really, really wanted to win. I mean, every year we want to win, but I think the way I felt I was last season was like, this is our chance, is kind of how I felt. And so, yeah, I mean, we definitely had to have hard culture conversations of, and when you get the point where kids are in conference and done with conference and they want to start drinking and celebrating, but you have a whole nother team who's still in dry season, and having those conversations of, yo, your team is still in this. Like, you're done, but the team is still in it. And I think it's respectful to the team to still be in it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had those hard conversations, and it's conversations that usually happen every season. I have no idea what's going on right now and those conversations that are had, but I think, yeah, you go through waves where you have to buckle on culture, and sometimes, yeah, you have to be the hard ass to be like, yo, that's not how we do things around here.
This is so enlightening. I love talking about this.
I know, isn't it? Well, I also just think like we don't talk about it enough because we see the results of swimming, and we see the times, and we see the training, but like, I think we forget that those kids are college kids too. And especially, well, I mean, like you see them at swim meets when it's all said and done, and it's that little like breath of relief. But I feel like people at home like really miss the dichotomy of both. Like, unless you're there seeing it in person, you really miss the dichotomy.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think it's hard. I am so glad we have a storyteller like you who gets to exit swimming, but still give back to it, but still add to it and share narratives like this, because as SwimSwam, as a news website, I don't think it's totally our place to report or to tell stories like this. And I also don't think it's easy for college kids to relate these kinds of things when they're still in it.
Very much so, because at the end of the day, it's like you still have an image to present, Like, hell, if I was in swimming a year ago and preparing for NCs, and I announced that I was making a short film about college swim teams throwing a party, I think I would be called into Carol's office and being like, yo, where's your head at right now? Like, what are you doing?
What's happening?
Exactly. Which is so valid and so understandable. Like, there is a time where you do focus on those results. But now that I'm like removed from it and have a different perspective of it, I think I have the ability to be able to see like, oh, those moments where we were having fun and not necessarily being, in the weight room, in the dining hall, in the pool, we were building our culture and our team values and our relationship within each other just as much as in those pools and in those spaces. Which is funny because in those moments, that's totally not what you're thinking about. But it's funny because over the years, I've really noticed swimmers do a really, really, really bad job at separating life and fun. It really, practice tends to really mesh together. Like, I've had so many social gatherings with friends where, you know, especially now that I'm retired and I get drinks with an old friend, we still talk about like workouts we did or like meet results. Like the lack of separation, we have horrible work-life balances.
It's true. It's so true because, and I assume a lot of athletes are in this boat, but I think, you know, swimming is so consuming and you're putting so many hours into it that, yeah, when you're not doing it, it's like, well, what else am I supposed to talk about?
And
like I have to process all of this stuff that I just did.
Literally. And like the number of times I go over to my teammate's house, we call it Green Machine, and we're just sitting on the couch watching TV and we end up pausing and someone's like, I have something to say about today's practice. Like it just happens all of the time.
Yeah. No, I bet. Because, yeah, again, you're spending so much time there that it's like, well, I have to talk to someone about all these things that happened or all these things that I did or how many, you know, pushing myself to my absolute physical limit, which is not easy.
It's not easy, but it's like amazing that the fun part about college is like you have 20 to 40 other people who know exactly what you're going through, you know?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was fun to sit on that couch and it's like, oh, this is a worst case scenario, but like so-and-so pissed me off today. They weren't leaving 5 seconds behind.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, it comes from a place of love. And it's like, you know what I mean? It's that balance of like, I love them so much and they're my teammate, but my God, they push my buttons so much today.
Yeah.
And the way that like you can share it with someone and they're like, oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. Like there aren't that many instances in life where like that really happens outside of swimming.
No, absolutely. And especially in like such a team centric setting.
Yeah.
Certainly. Did you ever see the movie Everybody Wants Some?
I love that movie. Richard Linklater.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's if you haven't seen it, highly recommend. It's the whole premise is that it's about a college men's baseball team.
And it's early Glenn Powell before he blew up. That was actually one of the key sources of material that I watched in the span of writing this film.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and I would be really curious to know what former college baseball players think of that movie because I saw it with my brother who swam at Purdue and we saw it in theaters. It was actually at a pro swim. And then we walk out and he's like, that is exactly what it is like to be on a college men's athletic team.
It's spot on. And there's that scene where they're at practice and it's their first practice back and they're they make the freshmen like do a little activity.
Mm-hmm.
It's to like integrate them. It's one of those things where you can tell because Linklater was a baseball player. He was a college baseball player.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Good to know. All right.
And so you can see it in the way that he writes and directs where it's like, oh, this isn't just someone writing a movie about a baseball team. It's someone who was on a baseball team and lived through it.
Mm-hmm.
And though baseball and swimming and men's and women's teams are very different, that feeling of, yeah, I watched it and I was like, oh my God, my team is like that sometimes. Mm-hmm. Like I wanted that feeling of people can watch it and be like, oh my God, my team has had those conversations before.
Yeah. Amazing. I'm very happy to hear that. That's so cool that was one of the prime sources of source material for wet season. All right. Indiegogo, check out wet season there. You are currently raising funds to get this in production. Wet Season, filmed by Erica Sullivan. We will link your Indiegogo in the description below. But
Appreciate it.
do you have the things that people will get if they donate?
Oh, I have all the things. $10 will get you in the credits. $30, I'll make a little video saying, hey, it's Erica. Thank you so much for donating. And those two things will apply to all the higher up tiers. $50 will get you the first copy of my script, which is, I think I ended up changing character names. I ended up changing the team that one of the girls is on. Just a lot of, you could just tell that this was so much of my word vomit in one place. And though the film has a similar ending, the beats are very, very different. $70, I will get you a signed Team USA cap, and I will ship it myself. I'll put it in an envelope, put a stamp on it, and ship it away. Oh man, what else? $100, we could do a 30-minute phone call for analysis of anything. If you want to talk movies, we could talk movies. If we want to do stroke analysis, I can offer that. Any advice on training in general, path to the Olympics, I could get you there. And yeah, if you donate anything more than that, literally just DM me what you want and I will probably do it for you.
That is a director if I've ever seen one. So
I'm willing to go lengths for this film.
So lots of different options there. Please go check out the Indiegogo. Go donate. Get this movie produced. So finally, Erica, just what are the next steps? I know you said you're filming the week after graduation. You're almost done with pre-production, but what is this process of the movie look like from now until you start shooting in May?
Yeah, so we got to finalize location. We're hoping that we don't have to put money down on a house to shoot at. But if we can't find a house, we might have to rent a house, which is expensive for 3 days. So that's probably what we have to do. We have to rent equipment, pretty expensive, and insurance and permits for all that. We need to finalize shooting at the Texas pool. I would love to be able to shoot at the Texas pool because that is my home, my safe space, my bread and butter. I won junior nationals there for the first time when I was 14.
Didn't even realize that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Grew up there, swam college there. Like I would, if I can swim at the Lee and Joe Jamal Texas Swimming Center, I'd be the happiest girl in the world. But with that becomes safety and getting the pool when my wonderful teammates aren't using the pool, because I do not want to hinder their long course season in any way, shape, or form. I probably want to get the Longhorn logo off of everything in post-production because of rights. Yeah. And it is a fictional college team. It is not about the University of Texas women's team. Yeah. And so that's something we have to do. I would love to film in a locker room. There's a locker room scene, but we'd have to make it a closed set and really, really figure out. We're hoping we don't have to do a build set. That would be worst case scenario because filming in locker rooms is very, very strict laws and a lot of permits and a lot of working pieces to make sure that works. So that's something we need to do. I need to get a shot list with my DP, my director of photography. Need to talk to my production designer to stage the house to make it look like a party. This is on my to-do list. I need to reach out to Speedo about costuming.
Hey-o.
Yeah, and that needs to be a conversation had because I would love to have Speedo because they helped me in my career for so long. But if we have 20 girls, that's a lot of swimsuits.
Yeah.
So that's a conversation that needs to be had. Just a lot of those little things that you never really think about. I need to get a crafty person to be able to feed my actors and my crew. And then, those are the main things that I'm trying to pound out right now. Licensing, permits, rights, music, that sort of thing.
Yeah. And again, just I love hearing this insight because I've worked on a couple film sets before. I work in video production, but it's like I never think about all of these things. Again, as a director, there's just so many little things that you don't even consider. Certainly as just someone who is watching a movie, you never think about all of these things, but this is why the credits are so long.
There's a reason the credits are long, and there is a reason. And honestly, I'm glad that no one knows, because nowadays I watch a movie and I'm like, there's a 300 light right there. Oh, someone did that. Like, every little piece in a movie, it's someone's job. And we're looking at probably a 20-person crew, and that's small. That's a skeleton crew. Mm-hmm. And so, and it's for a 10-minute short film that shoots in 3 days. Yeah. So it's really shaping into be something cool, and I hope it looks good, and hopefully we get into some NYU sports film festivals. We're going to try for South by. We're going to try for all sorts of things. So we'll see what happens.
You've been listening to the SwimSwam Podcast. Stay tuned for new episodes every week. You can take SwimSwam Podcast on the go by subscribing on your favorite podcast platform. Look for links in the description below, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos as well.